and we would just battle. I mean, I'm quite opinionated, and I'd be like, okay, you want to try me? Okay, let's go. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex, and I talk all things teaching, and mainly from a high school teacher, secondary school teacher perspective. So I'm based here in the UK, and I teach secondary school kids. So that's kids that's aged between 11 and all the way up to 18, which we consider to be sixth form. So it's slightly different in America, but yeah, those ages should give you kind of an idea of who I teach. So yeah, today's video I thought I would talk about one really popular topic amongst first year teachers, and that is classroom management strategies, right? I remember when I was in my first year and I was petrified because at the end of the day, I'm just coming out of uni, I look young, the kids are going to know that I'm young, and I just got into a panic because I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to manage these kids, right? And to be honest, I probably worked myself up a little bit too much, and so I just find that the more knowledge that you have from teachers that have gone before you, the more relaxed and less anxious you're going to be about this whole new chapter in your life. And if you're already a teacher and you're just thinking, what else can I do to kind of judge it up a bit, then by all means guys, I'm here to help as well. And I really encourage that we help each other. I mean, there's no one size fits all. There's so many strategies out there. I'm always learning. This is just what works for me. Okay, so the first thing that I would say is know your students. You need to take effort in forming a relationship with them. Not so much that you are their peer, you are their teacher and you do need to know your role, but it's really important that they feel comfortable with you, that they can approach you and just have a civil conversation with you, because at the end of the day, these kids are like semi-adults. We're not talking about little ones that don't understand their emotions. So I think sometimes we need to talk to them as adults. They want to be treated as adults, and as much as they can show really childish behaviour sometimes. I think it's really important to just know them. I think this ultimately sets the tone, and one thing that I do that I'm not asked to do but I just choose to do is try to get in contact with parents and try to kind of form a relationship there, because when that child knows that, you know, there's a little bit of a partnership going on here, they tend to do as you say. So my second tip is to set expectations early on. You can't measure the kids against something that you never set. So I'm very clear at the beginning of term that, look, these are my rules, this is what I expect from you, and this is what you can expect from me, right? And we come to this agreement, and then you can kind of, if something comes up later on in that year, you can say, well, these were the expectations. It's not foreign to them. And I always use this as we go through. If I see any kind of like poor effort, or I don't know, they're late to lesson, or they've arrived without their stationery, whatever it might be, I will always refer back to this. And I even go to the extent of putting it up on my wall, because they're constantly reminded that, look, these are Mrs. Rules, like, don't play it, like, these are Mrs. Rules. And yeah, it's worked for me thus far. And that's not to say that you don't get those students that have challenging behaviour and will try to test your boundaries, because at the end of the day, when you're just coming out of university, they see that you're young, especially if you've got like a baby face. They're going to see that and they're going to think, you look like my older sister type thing, and you need to come in like, no, I am the teacher, you are the student, these are my rules. And I think when you like stand your ground, then they kind of respect that and they want that from you. They don't want you to be their friend. They want you to be approachable. They want to be able to talk to you and confide in you, but then they don't want you to be their friend. Now, one thing I would say around setting expectations is make sure you have an opportunity to practice this. Don't just put a rule in place and then not give the child the opportunity to see that play out. For example, say that one of your rules is to line up outside the classroom, depending on your school, of course, and you know, you're sat at your desk, it's about to be next period, and the child just walks straight into your class. Well, they've not followed your rules, because you've obviously said last lesson that they are to line up outside the room. So you wouldn't obviously go ahead and punish them and give them a detention, right? Because, you know, it's their first time going through it. So it's really important, I say that to say that it's really important that you go through and practice these rules. And then if they keep doing it, then you know that you have an issue. I think it's really important that, you know, you do know your school policy as well, because if they have that consistency from every teacher in the school, they kind of know what to expect. I mean, there's nothing worse than, you know, that teacher does this and Mr. So-and-so does that, and, you know, Trunchable over there is saying, yeah, I can do that, and I'm saying, no, you can't do that. Like, you don't want that, because it's just going to confuse you, and we're going to be like, okay, which one was Miss John's again, you know? So it's really important to have that consistency school-wide as well. And if you find something that is an issue, try not to target that individual student. Do it as like a whole class thing. You're not targeting him at all. You're just saying that, look, this is the rules. I just want to reiterate it. You're not looking at his direction or nothing like that. You don't want to embarrass him. You want it to be a safe space, but he will know in himself that, oh, actually, she's talking about me, but she's not embarrassing me. She's telling the whole class, right? Number 3 kind of ties into this, and I would say know and choose your battles. Like, some battles are just not worth the fighting. For example, if a child is going through something at home and that is kind of causing him or her to react in a certain way because, you know, it's not anything that's in your control, maybe it's not anything that's in their control, but there's other factors, it's really important to choose your battles. Now, I don't say that to say, you know, let them get away with things. No, not at all. But, you know, don't kind of confront them if you know that their response might be unpredictable at this stage in their life. So definitely choose your battles wisely. So number 4 is being, I think, my best management strategy, and that is to reward positive behavior. I think sometimes when kids get to secondary school age, high school age, people often think that, oh no, I'm not going to give them stickers and I'm not going to praise them because, you know, they're grown and they're going to think it's really cheesy and you're embarrassing them. But I would question that. I would really question that, because to me, my kids absolutely thrive on praise. Okay, maybe not stickers, but other types of praise. Maybe it's a phone call home. Maybe you've told the parent that, oh, actually, you know, your child has done really well in this area, they've excelled in this area. Or maybe it's, I don't know, they've won a pencil for, you know, consistent effort, or whatever it might be. They absolutely thrive on praise, and they want to know that they're doing well. I mean, it's okay that you're marking their books, but sometimes public praise, as much as they don't show it, they absolutely love it. Trust me. And all of a sudden you will be their best friend, even though I said not to be friends, but yeah. So I think it's really important to reward that positive behavior, and especially if you've got students in your class that aren't displaying that positive behavior, and they can kind of side-eye that you're rewarding that student, and all of a sudden they want a piece of the pie, and so they will start to, you know, follow your rules as well, so that they can get that same outcome, right? So really important that you praise that positive behavior, and often publicly works really well. And then number 5, one of the key things that I learned in my practice, especially I remember when I was early on, I would always confront the child with the poor behavior in front of the class. I think in the back of my mind, I just wanted to make an example of him, and we would just battle. I mean, I'm quite opinionated, and I'd be like, okay, you want to try me? Okay, let's go. And obviously I wasn't right in thinking that way, but I did, and a lot of the time it would just result in, you know, us battling. He's undermining my authority. Now that's looking like I can't manage a class in front of the remaining students, and it was just all bad. And then I found out later on with this particular student that I had difficulty with is that, you know, he was a looked after child, there was other home life issues, and I was basically fueling these feelings and issues that he had going on in his life. And I think that was a very humbling experience for me. Not to say that his behavior was right, not to say that, you know, he shouldn't still be sanctioned and, you know, have detentions where necessary, but to say that, you know, you really need to, as to draw back to the first point, you really need to know your students. And in the end, he ended up being one of my favorite students because, you know, I spoke to him, we did the one-to-one, he would stay after class, and we would talk through what the issue was and how he felt I handled it, and what, you know, ownership he's going to have over the situation and that type of thing. And I found that that really made him grow, and I just showered him, absolutely showered him with praise every time he did something well. Like he was the kind of person that wanted it to be publicly known, and anytime he did that, it was like, yeah, that's me, yeah, yeah, you hear that, yeah. And he would be like that, and it was just so nice to see this change in this student. And so I would definitely say, don't fuel the fire, don't embarrass them, and try to diffuse the situation. So from that point on, I would get a post-it note, I would say, meet me after class, and I would just, as I'm monitoring the class in other activities, I would just pop that on his desk. No other student knew that I did this, but he knew that he then had to stay after class. Didn't embarrass him, diffuse the situation, it was dealt with at the end. And I found that with this strategy, it was just so much better. It was less stress on me. I ended the class in a positive mood. He ended the class in a positive mood. It was a win-win situation. So as a first-time teacher, you are going to come across students that try you. They're going to try your boundaries, they're going to test you, and one thing I would say is stick to your guns. If you've said that, you know, 1 warning, 2 warning, you're out type thing, then you need to actually follow through. There's nothing worse than like an empty threat. And obviously it's to help them progress. Don't say, you know, you're never going to amount to anything if you do this, or, you know, you're so stupid, you don't know the information. Like, never ever use language like that. You want to say that, look, your behavior is actually hindering you from progressing, so let's look at what we can do to fix that, right? It's not them that's the problem, it's their behavior that's the problem. And so it's really important that they understand that, because a lot of the times, you know, students might be hearing from their family or their peers that they're failing, that they're not doing well, especially when you have lessons that give out the grades publicly. And they're like, everyone's like, oh yes, I got an A, or I got a level 9, and then they're just like, oh, I failed. And when their peers are asking them what grade did they get, they don't want to tell them, or they make a joke out of it because they're so embarrassed to the point like, whatever, don't care anyway. And you find a lot of that. And I would just say that high school kids are super emotional, and they just want to be loved, and they just want to know that you care, to the point where, you know, you go the extra mile for them. And so I would definitely say, guys, that, you know, just keep practicing. It will get easier the more you know your children. One thing I will say is that after your first year of teaching, it's like so much easier after that, because the kids know you, they know that you're not just going to get up and leave them, they have a relationship with you now. Hopefully you've had a little bit of laughter throughout the year whilst you've been teaching them, and you've spoken to the parents, and you've had parents evenings and all this kind of business. And by this point they're like, yeah, this is my teacher, you know, I'm happy with this, she's seen me progress and she's proud of me. And it's just so heartwarming, honestly. Like, you create this really strong relationship with the children, and yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything. Anyway, I'm rambling, sorry guys, I'm rambling. But yeah, I would definitely say that these 5 behaviour management tips, and I'll put them down in the description below as well, I would definitely say that these are the things that have helped me through my first year, and then up to, I think it's 6 years now, 6 years of teaching. Definitely helped me, both in this role and in cover work roles as well. And everybody knows when a supply teacher comes in, the kids are like, yeah, holiday. No, it's not like that, like, no. So you have to come in strong, you have to come in knowing, like, these are my rules, I'm the authority figure here, you will follow them. And if it doesn't go as a plan, change your strategy, it's fine. At the end of the day, you can have a conversation with these kids. They are semi-adult, and they will listen, they will listen. Alright guys, sorry I've babbled so much throughout this video, but I hope that some of those tips have been really helpful for you, and you would use them and let me know how they go. Let me know how you get on. If you have anything that works that you feel would benefit other teachers watching this video, then do pop them down in the description below. I'm always constantly changing my strategies depending on what kind of characters I have in the room and what their needs are. So by all means, guys, let's share, let's be a community. Again, if you've liked this video, do consider giving it a thumbs up and clicking the subscribe button, one of these sides, so that you don't miss any new videos. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!